Okay, first of all, we have Reggie Herman from AECOM, who is going to tell us what's new in his industry. These are little flashes of things that are occurring. And Reggie, come on up here and tell us all about it.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Well, so I'm looking forward today, and I know I got to be brief with a 10-minute commitment here for everybody and allow my colleagues here on the stage to have some time as well. But what we wanted to touch on today actually is some innovation when it comes to how we do program management and how we deliver mega projects. And in particular, we're going to be talking about delivery partner. And it's something of a new process that's coming into play that we're seeing really take off across the globe. And in particular, we've seen it in the UK and New Zealand, and now it's coming to North America. And the reason we're seeing that start to take off is really kind of three things. And it's one, due to the rise of cost, the shifting of scheduling, and also the demand for expertise, whether it's diverse expertise or even global expertise. And I would also submit to you all as well, in the recent months, especially here in the US, there's a greater demand for streamlining agency delivery, and also even just from overall delivery, having the streamlined staff. So the cost that comes together and the thoughts that are there are really focusing on having to do more with less. Now, ultimately, there's 3 slides here today that I'm going to touch on that really deal with what are the drivers that can help lead you to a decision of the type of program management you need to use. Then really looking at the spectrum of program management as well and walking through that and how that comes into play and where delivery partner comes into play with that spectrum as well. And then finally, just doing a quick look at the nuances that come into play from a delivery partner and some of the more traditional ways of delivering mega projects and major projects for infrastructure. So here's that 6 drivers that I was referencing. It's really kind of on a curve that you'll notice here. And it starts with a base that it really sets the context for how you need to work to get to that point of where you need to be for a delivery partner or just an overall program management strategy. And it starts with looking at key things from a decision-making, behavior, and strategy of governance. And those are somewhat related. So decision-making really looks at what is the process that you use to make a decision, how do you communicate that, and then ultimately you want to create a system in place that provides that transparency that ultimately establishes trust. Once you've decided that, you're going to need to really look at the governance because that's going to lay the framework for how you're going to go about making decisions and how and who has the responsibility for making those decisions. Now, as you continue to progress up this curve, you look at some of the other items that are referenced here, which are managing risk and uncertainty. Now, we're very familiar with some of this when it comes to more of the traditional approach for contracting, like, for instance, with design build, progressive design build, even looking at traditional design bid build. Those are things that we're very familiar with as an industry here in the room. But what I would submit to you is even going above and beyond that, there's opportunities to look for ways to how you manage risk and how that can be shared across the team from a owner's perspective to a consultant perspective. Next, as you continue up this curve, you look at leadership and capable teams. This is something when you're talking about complexity and large infrastructure, you need to think about, do you have the leadership in place? Do you need to leverage a consultant to come in and help cast a vision and strategy? And how are you going to look to move that forward? Now, finally, as you finish this off, we get into stakeholder engagement and management. As everyone's very familiar with across the board when we talk about infrastructure projects, stakeholder engagement is critical. They can be a group of individuals or entities that can really derail projects very quickly if it's not handled appropriately. In addition, if you understand who your stakeholders are, who you're interacting with, and their power of decision making, that puts you in a place of success in order to establish the right system. And then ultimately the supply chain and the integration that has to happen. It's not only the raw resources that have to come into play for our construction, and in some instances here when we're talking about rail, it's vehicles, but it's also the contractor community as well. We need to engage them very early and often so they know what's coming and they understand what the risks are and how they're going to approach a particular project, your project, if it's a major infrastructure type of project. All those things come together to really help look at how we're going to address and deliver a legacy project, a major infrastructure project across the board. Now, here's that spectrum that I was referencing earlier. You'll notice to the far left, what you have there is reflecting the ownership that comes into play. Now, this is an owner-directed staff augmentation. We're very familiar with this. You typically would see this with a very mature, large entity or organization. And then as you continue across the spectrum, you get to the far right, you're looking at something that really hands over a lot of control to the consultant community or to the consultant that's hired. Now, that's not always ideal because from an owner perspective, you're really handing the keys over to the consultant. So now, looking at what really falls into the middle, I would draw your attention to the delivery partner, and that's an integrated collaborative approach. And that's a key, two terms that I would say that I want to really hammer home on, is it takes it to the next level of the integration of staff and the collaboration. So you notice that we have somewhat of a dashboard feel to this slide when you look at it, and as you progress across the slide, you see how the diamonds continually slide on where the risk is going, and as it eventually goes to the right, you move that risk ultimately to the consultant. Now with the delivery partner, what's really important is you're trying to share that, but you have a lot more flexibility of what that looks like. You're understanding the capabilities on what you're ultimately engaging, whether it's technical staff, whether it's leadership, whether it's procurement. All those things come into play because a delivery partner can really help shape the program, and it can be a collaborative and integrated process as you approach a large infrastructure project as you continue it forward. Now, here's what I was talking about earlier, just a quick look at a nuance at what we're talking about. I think everybody in the room is familiar with PMCM. I mean, all of us have been involved in that, being a part of this industry. We know how that works. So we wanted to then compare that to the delivery partner from a procurement and from an execution perspective. Something that kind of rises out to the top that I think is very interesting from a delivery partner perspective, it's much more involved. Now, you'll notice you have your typical and traditional RFQ, RFP, but what comes into play here, and even the interview, what comes into play here is what's called a collaborative behavioral assessment. And this is something that we're seeing more and more of our clients look at doing. And what that does is you actually have sometimes days, sometimes weeks as part of the interview process where you have a behavior coach come in, bring the potential team together, bring the team together of the actual firm and the company, and then give them tasks and see how they interact and how they execute that. And then from there, that is the judgment and the criteria that's used to ultimately determine, is this going to be the right fit? Because they want to see how they're truly integrated and how they're truly collaborating. That is absolutely key in order for this model to work and to have success. Now, from an execution perspective, it's much more of an advisory role. Now, from a PMCM, let's say, for instance, when we're talking about procurement, you're really focusing on just making sure you're managing the contracting and the procurement process. However, from a delivery partner perspective, what you're doing is you're actually shaping the procurement. You're shaping in how the procurement's going to be released, the type of procurement, how it's all going to be managed. You're very actively involved, and it's a collaborative process with that partner. And then ultimately, that then takes on a traditional CM/PM role, where then the delivery partner or the consultant comes in and manages the overall process when it comes to procurement. And it really addresses when you have a large portfolio. This is once again where the advisory role comes into play for a delivery partner as well. Now, to summarize just quickly, the key thing here, and we're seeing this, like I said, rise across the globe, but here now even in North America, it's been coming to Canada. We've actually seen it here in the US. For instance, Amtrak is utilizing this model. We're also seeing it with Austin. AECOM's part of the Austin Transit Partnership with delivering transformative transit project there in the city of Austin over the next 10 years. So this is a really evolving situation of how we can deliver complex and really interesting transformative projects over the next few years. The other thing I would say, we walk through some of the benefits that you see from an owner perspective, and you might ask, well, what's the benefit from a consultant perspective? Obviously, it's just the fact that you have access in integrating into the staff and working with them collaboratively, but also what comes into play is being able to develop the overall incentives that come into play. So there's typically milestones that get established that ultimately help motivate making sure that you're delivering on time and per those milestones. So ultimately, the takeaway here is that we really need to be, I would say, open to maintaining flexibility, making sure that we create an environment for integration, because I think all of us here, as being part of this industry, want to be a part of that environment where we can collaborate together to ultimately deliver legacy projects, transformative projects that impact our communities where we live and work. And with that, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Reggie. We're going to play musical chairs here now, and I'm going to invite Saurav Mittal coming up from PCM RailOne, and one of our gold sponsors. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I made it all the way from Frankfurt, so a little bit jet-lagged, but I'll try to make it interesting as much as possible. I thank everybody over here, and I like that everybody's talking about new technology, new approach to railways, new approach to passenger transits, and things like that. I would like to just introduce what we as RailOne particularly do in all the segments. So we do anything which goes underneath the rails. We do mostly all concrete technology. About us, the company RailOne was founded in Germany in the year 1894. Started as producing wooden ties for Deutsche Bahn, and were the first ones to start manufacturing concrete ties in 1954. In 1993, the company started expanding across Europe, and then took their production into Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Korea, and even brought it to US in the year 2013. In 2013, my family, which comes from India, we purchased 100% shares of this company. The main strategic idea was that the privatization was opening up in Indian Railways. So given RailOne having more than 120 running patents in terms of plant technology, track solutions, from transits to freights to high speeds, it was a strategic investment for us. Since then, we have been continuously investing in the company. In 2018, we modernized one of the productions in Germany. And in 2019, we established a Industry 4.0 production unit for turnout bearers, through which the single production we supply more than 55% of German capacity, using only 30 people, where you normally need 300 people to do such a work. What makes RailOne special? Slab track technologies, to which we hold the patents for, which we developed with the Deutsche Bahn over the period of time. 70 years of concrete technology, so we have been working with concrete and developing new products and solutions for the past 70 years. Patents, 110 running patents as of now, including track technologies for transits, heavy hauls, high speeds. This is our presence. We have 4 production units in Germany. We have 4 other spread across Hungary, Turkey, Romania, and Spain. We have marked all the countries to which we have supplied or worked in the slab track area. So we have worked with Greece, Romania, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. We have 6 productions in India, including a slab technology. Most of Korea's slab track technology for high speed is based on our track systems. We even did a know-how transfer to China for their first high-speed track system, which was Wuhan to Guangzhou. This is what we do. We produce almost 5 million sleepers or maybe more each year for various railways across the globe, from government to private. We supply to every entity. The Radar 2000 system, which is our patented track technology for high speeds, we have more than 5,500 kilometers installed across the globe. Currently, apart from that, we hold one more track system technology, which I think would be interesting for Mrs. Caroline May, because she was talking about this transit, like where they would like to integrate the super nice Texas high-speed, the road systems, and they would like to probably run trains around it. We have a very interesting track technology that could do or get your trains to almost 180 miles running along with the cars. Business areas and portfolio, engineering, long-distance freight. In long-distance freight, we talk about all the concrete ties that we can design and manufacture. We are currently producing 75 different types of concrete ties across the globe, and we could design anything that suits the client's perspective. Ballastless track, urban transit, so from light rail, as you can see in the picture, to high speeds, which I'll be coming later to. We do it all. Plant construction, we are the only ones in the world right now to hold the patent for an Industry 4.0 carousel production system, which we are very interested in bringing to America given the size of this market and the requirements. Type of concrete ties, like for example, if you see what we have for America, it's a heavy haul tie, which we have supplied more than 1 million ties to UP as of now. We work closely with CN. We are setting up a new production in Canada by the end of this year, which we thankfully were working since the last 4 years, but given the tariff situation, that helps us quite a bit. We are also participating in the high-speed projects on the West Coast, for which we have a tie design. It's a Spanish tie design, which can accommodate speeds up to 220 miles per hour. We have tendered for this design, and we are tendering this for the California and the Brightline West. These are the ones which we have for the transits. If you take in a normal track what we do, so from the ties up till the slab track system, the one which is in the middle is what I was talking about, proposing with the nice highway system that's there in Texas. You see the base that it's asphalt. So it's practically just making a highway lane and just grouting heavy sleepers on that and running trains at 180 miles can be done. The black thing which is on top of it is noise absorbers. So it absorbs the noise and reduces the track to almost 3 decibels or can be reduced even further. Behind that is the Radar 2000 slab technology that I'm talking about. It's an in situ concreting system. So you can adjust the track to 0.01 micron precision before doing the in situ concreting. We give 100 years design and performance guarantee on this particular track system. We are doing this in Scandinavia. We did one project with 100 years guarantee in Sweden last year, and in Scandinavia they have made it mandatory that for all infrastructure, track or you can say highways, they have to give a minimum 100 years guarantee on design and performance because of maintenance, lack of people for doing maintenance and so on. The Radar 2000 system, it's a very basic system. If you see that there is a compacted layer at the bottom, and then on top of that comes a recyclable concrete layer. You called it a hydraulic bonded layer. It has to be very low in strength. You can use recyclable concrete, which makes it more sustainable. And then on top of that comes the bi-block. The bi-block ties, these are the ones which are produced in a production and sent on site, and then you do the TCL layering. We can talk more about it. I wouldn't want to bore you with this. This is how the track looks like. This is just one of the projects that we did in Netherlands. You know, Netherlands is 30 meters below sea level. So anywhere you dig, the water pops out. This is a track system which we did 17 years earlier. It's 17 years running, and we have no issues of water accumulation or any sort of a maintenance. The G-track system, what I had mentioned earlier, you see that basically it's nothing but a highway or a proper roadway, and on top of that you make these heavy sleepers and you grout it onto this asphalt, and then you do the final adjustment of the track, and you can even use it for heavy hauls. So the class 1s and the passenger can both use this track technology together. This is how the track looks like. This is inside the tunnel. We are currently doing a lot of projects in Deutsche Bahn where they have a specification that they don't have a long time to close the line, particularly in tunnels where they have a lot of trains going. We can install this slab track system. We can do almost 1,500 feet per day. So this can be done with a single team. So if a tunnel is both sides open, or if it has a double track like you see over here, you can increase the efficiency to double or triple the installation capacity. And like I mentioned, we give 50 years design and performance life on this, and you can use it for both passenger and freight. The Radar City system is basically a daughter system from Radar 2000 technology. The idea is the same, only the implementation is for lighter rails. This is a project we did in Montreal, so currently we are doing a lot of project in Canada. The REM project in Montreal, currently we are also doing Hour, Ontario, and Ontario line is in good prospect as well. Again, the light rail, this is what it looks like. In Germany, 5 of the major cities, Hanover, Munich, Berlin, they are all Dresden, they are all based on our light rail track system as well. Currently in India, we are also doing the first high speed, which is the Japanese Shinkansen system between the cities of Mumbai and Ahmedabad. We are producing the slabs in India. Currently, we have the know-how transfer from the Japanese. Not just producing the slabs, we are also doing the installation of these slabs on the bridges for the Japanese in India. This is how it looks like. In North America, I mean in India and the Middle East, we are doing design and build of projects. Construction is not our forte for North American market. We would like to empower all the good construction companies which are already here into accepting and adopting our systems to better the track systems in America. This is our production system currently in Clinton, Iowa. Like I mentioned, we are setting up currently also in Canada, in North Bay, Ontario. I would say not just make America great again, I would say let's make America fast as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And get a little sleep now, look from that jet lag. Chris Taylor from ARUP, you're up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Peter. For those of you who don't know the firm ARUP, we're that kind of ooh-ah company that designs some of the world's best-known buildings. And our company started with Saurav ARUP, and one of these crazy architects came up with a winning idea for the Sydney Opera House that it should look like sails on a sailboat. And no one could figure out how to build it until Saurav managed to work it out. And we've done other crazy ooh-ah experiments like the London Eye, the big Ferris wheel in the middle of London on the side of the river. On the rail side, one of the projects that I was involved in is Fulton Center, and working with Monica Barrow over there and Nicole Busich, who will be here tomorrow. We said, everybody's holding the train doors open so the trains aren't running well. If we could just get better passenger transfers from one subway line to the other, we'd get more capacity out of the system. And then, of course, we had Grimshaw Architects say, well, let's bring natural sunlight through a huge skylight 4 levels below ground, and we'll figure out how to do it. So ARUP came along and figured out how to hold up the operating subway lines and put in Fulton Center, which won the Hay Award, which is the highest honor at ARIMA. But I'm not here to talk about that cool stuff. I'm here to talk about other cool stuff, which is digital tools and immersive technology. Now, major projects, they do face unique challenges, budget and schedule overrun and risk. As Reggie mentioned, managing multiple stakeholders and contractors, making sure to have compliance with and quality of work, and to contribute positively to the communities that they serve. And so digital tools allow us to work faster and better, to be more accurate, to have timely information provided to allow us to coordinate with project stakeholders and to inform decision-making and have single sources of truth. Now, I'll talk a little bit about a project we're doing in Toronto for light rail, which is the Eglinton Crosstown West extension. And that extension extends about 9 kilometers with 7 new stations. And we're serving as the technical advisor for preliminary engineering, procurement support, and design and construction oversight. We like to serve as an owner's partner to move these projects forward. And to establish a digital toolkit, you have to start right at the beginning, set up the goals and the key performance indicators for the project, build the basic tools like the GIS and the data management systems for that single source of truth, and then have that common data environment and any automation set up. And that digital toolkit evolves over the life of the project, and these projects take several years, and the technology is changing very fast. So you need to be able to update with new functionality and handheld, so folks in the field can be, tracking the tunnel boring machine position and reporting it out to the stakeholders. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about today is also immersive experience technology. And our firm allows the stakeholders to experience the project, starting with architectural renderings, going through verified photographic views, creating route animations, and actually does create audio, visual, full immersive virtual reality experiences that allows the public, the project owners, government officials to experience what the project will be like. And that is to help minimize project opposition and maximize project support. So as an example, on the Young North Subway extension, the community was very upset about the subways passing under their homes. And we needed to help our client gain project support to minimize that opposition. They were afraid that the noise and vibration would really rattle them at night. And so what we did is we provided advanced research and fully transparent analysis to help educate the public on the actual impacts that would be expected. We sent people out and they rented Airbnbs along the route, and they collected audio and vibration measurements in the basements, in the attics, in the bedrooms, so that they could understand what the background existing conditions were. And then they technically assessed what the subway would be like operating in those environments. By collecting data in the field on actual operating trains, on the line, and in the yards and shops, and we have high-tech stereo cameras and accurate recording equipment. And then we set up outreach centers that enabled the public to come in and with high-quality headphones, listen to what they would experience. So we had these iPad demonstrations, and it's hard to read here, but you could pick your location closest along the route, and you could pick whether you wanted to experience the sound and the vibration. Well, you couldn't do the vibration with the headsets, but the sound in your living room, in your bedroom, or in the basement. Now, community engagement is very important. We also led engineering for Texas Central from Dallas to Houston, and the education was the best way to ensure, the public understood what they would be experiencing. And Colleen and I went to many public meetings with Travis, and we would hear, the train's gonna go by, it's gonna be so loud, it's gonna blow out our windows, and it's gonna go so fast, it's gonna suck all the oxygen out of the air, and my cows are gonna drop dead, right? So we needed to try to educate them a little bit better. So we sent folks to Japan who recorded the Shinkansen, and then we sent them out in the field in Texas to record the current background freight. And then we set up mobile audio stations where folks could hear. You can see the gentleman there hung up his hat to listen. And folks were really surprised that, yeah, there was a whoosh when the high-speed rail went by, but it was gone in, 10 seconds or 5 seconds. And then they listened to the freight train that goes right outside their house, and they kind of like woke them up that, yeah, I'm listening to that clickety-clack slow noise for, 5 or 10 minutes. That really helped us resolve some of the stakeholder concerns. Now, for High Speed 2 in London, we had advanced mobile sound and vibration labs where we brought it all together with a virtual train environment that actually had a vibration motion platform so that folks could put on virtual reality goggles and sit in a seat and actually feel the movement of the train. And our company will actually model structural modifications to your building and let you sit in a vibration setup to feel how the structural changes would address the vibration you might feel from an adjacent highway. So I just want to give you a couple examples here This is a map that we put together for the public for the immersive experience. We have different locations for aerial animation, photographic views, and total immersive experiences. And this was for public meetings. They could go out and they could look at these different experiences. In this very sensitive area, you can see there's a golf course and there's a couple of play fields for local schools. So I hope the video works here, but this is a visual animation from a drone flight, mapped the actual infrastructure that would be built. No sound here, but you could see that we were able to, this is an actual live video by drone. You could see cars moving down the highway, and we were able to map onto it the proposed infrastructure in the future. And so you could see it before and after. We mapped it out as it passes through the park, and we could show how it affected the tree lines and how we made modifications to it. And that really, this was a full 8-minute video that we can make available. It showed where cycle and pedestrian tracks were going to be and where the stations were going to be and how access roads along the alignment would be relocated. And it was very helpful for the folks to understand what they would experience when the system was ultimately built out. Now, my second video shows you simulations, audio simulations of key points along the Eglinton line in 4 different times. Today, during construction, 5 years after construction, and 30 years in the future. And these were used to help the public understand. So we chopped this up, but hopefully you get the effect from this video. And this has audio, hopefully. You will hear the background noise, then the construction noise, then the train noise when it's implemented. At 3 locations. In the background are louder than the trains are. That's 30 years in the future. You can't see the train. Okay, so as a quote there from the President and Chief Executive Officer of Metrolinx for Toronto Transit Agency, he noted that he was really impressed with the acoustics works and mostly that the sound lab needed to be central to stakeholder engagement to try to address some of the misperceptions that people might have about future projects. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. I actually sampled that Texas Central program. It was awesome. And finally, Philip Moore from STV, going to tell us what's going on with your group.
I'm going to try.
Go for it.
Well, that was 3 really good presentations, and as I was sitting through that, I was going, sometimes, you know, you can make the joke that they save the best for last. In this case, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if my presentation is going to be quite as cool as theirs, but that's very good. And I'm going off script already. This is why we have a 10-minute time limit for guys like me. But you know, what's so cool about the rail industry is that every day is a different day. And just those 3 presentations alone, I picked something up from every single one of them. And I think that's why we're all here and we're so passionate about this industry. So with that being said, my name is Philip Moore. I'm a Senior Engineering Operations Manager at STV Incorporated. And I'm going to share a little bit about myself just real quick, and then we're going to talk about some of the cool things that STV has done and is doing going forward. So a little bit about myself. I've been in the rail industry for 18 plus years now. I started my career at BNSF Railway, actually swinging a spike mall, spiking track. That's how I started. I've been very fortunate throughout my career to be in many different levels of the rail industry. I've been in maintenance away, I've been in operations, I've even spent a short amount of time in the signal department, which I decided was not for me. I've been a terminal train master in Houston, overseeing 5 terminals. I managed system safety for North County Transit District out in Oceanside, second busiest rail corridor in the U.S., overseeing the coaster and the sprinter lines. Also an active member of ARIMA, APTA, the World Safety Organization. And then recently, I've had the pleasure of traveling back and forth to Ottawa, Ontario, and overseeing head-end system startup and testing for the Confederation line and assisting a little bit with vehicle movements on the Trillium line. So there's currently actually 2 projects going on there side by side. One of them's overhead catenary, the other one's with DMUs. So been very fortunate, like I said, to be involved in all of those. So STV. We've been around for a little bit over 100 years. We were founded in 1912, and we've been delivering infrastructure solutions ever since. Our goal is to connect people and places and make communities better, and that's something that our CEO really talks a lot about, is being local, having a local presence, and since we're living in our communities, we should definitely just have a direct impact on those communities. We've currently have over 60 offices and 3,200 employees nationwide. And then we've got our Texas Mountain region, which is rapidly growing. We've added a lot of offices. We've got offices local here in Frisco, Dallas, and Fort Worth. We're proud to support some of those local and regional Texas projects that are going on. Here's a little bit about STV's full service capabilities. You know, we're doing everything from master planning to environmental to conceptual design, program management, obviously construction management. A couple things that I wanted to highlight that were actually left out of this because I think it would have been a little bit too difficult to read, is one thing that we do in rail is we actually have a full operations team. And they are folks that have worked in the rail industry. We have some folks at STV that have been there in the rail industry for 30 plus years. They've been CEOs at transit agencies. They have been COOs at transit agencies or with railroads. They really have that understanding and experience, and they have a direct impact with some of our clients there. The other thing is we also have a system safety and security group that does your PHAs, your TBAs, your SILs, all of those important early documents of a project phase. We've got a national group that handles that for our transit clients as well. So a couple Texas projects that STV is involved in. We are a joint venture partner on the DART System Modernization Program, which some of you folks might be familiar with. That program really aims to enhance the system resiliency and sustainability, maintainability through extreme weather conditions. We're currently looking at how some of the OCS that DART has might be modified or how that can be maintained easier through the life of having that system through the extreme heat, or even now we're getting obviously some ice storms more frequently here in Texas. So we're looking at that. There's a procurement of 95, or it's calls for procurement of 95 new LRVs, as well as upgrading approximately 48 miles of our signal system. Reggie already mentioned ATP. We are a delivery partner there with AECOM and others. So for those of you who don't know, that's a brand new LRT 10-mile expandable all-electric project down in Austin, planned for 15 stations. It's going to go right down the middle of the street in Austin. It's going to call for a new bridge across Lady Bird Lake, and we are very, very excited about that project going forward. And I can also, piggybacking on the collective or behavioral assessment, I got that right, it works. It was the first time doing it, and it was really cool to be involved in that. And you obviously have to have people that are willing to work together, on behalf of the client and the taxpayers and the project itself. And so it was really neat to kind of see that come together and how that would work out. And so anyway, we're excited about those. I do apologize if anybody here from Houston Metro is in the room. We haven't forgot you. We know you're our client. We're actually doing some GEC work for them currently as well, but we can only fit so many folks on there on the slides, but we haven't forgot about you. A couple national projects that I wanted to highlight. The Metro Capital Program, PMO, that's a $2.5 billion 5-year capital program that we've been directly involved in. And then the SMART extension, for those of you who don't know what SMART is, that's Sonoma Marin Rail, way up in Northern California and wine country. We've helped with a $54 million design build project there. And so just wanted to highlight a couple of really our national projects. We are from coast to coast, north to south, and even into Canada, as I mentioned. And lastly, highlighting the projects, one of the things that I really talk to our clients about, and then prospective clients, is the funding aspect. Obviously, that's a hot topic right now, but we've got a dedicated grants advisory team that does a really great job of finding money that our clients might not be aware of. And so we want to help you get as much money as you possibly can. So we've had a couple really good wins on that. One of them was with the FRA, Railroad Crossing Elimination Program in South Carolina. We helped secure $204 million there. And then the next one was MBTA, the Draw One Bridge. STV was instrumental there in securing $472 million, which was the largest federal award in MBTA history. So we're very proud of that. And lastly, I would love to connect. So there's the QR codes. We have our STV website, and then there's the ability to connect with me, or you can just come find me. So if I haven't met you yet, I hope I get a chance to do that over the next couple days. So thank you for your time.
All right, round of applause, please, for our 4 presenters. Very interesting.